Alright, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to do an overall review of a particular subclass for the soldier type, the Survivalist Jonesy. And I won't just be calling out why he's bad. I actually think he's a good playable character. But I will be pointing out why he doesn't really hit the mark at what he's trying to do, and why him being good despite these flaws could possibly be a bad thing. So as always, we'll start with a high-level overview of the class and what he's supposed to do. His description reads, tough soldier who can rapidly heal themselves by defeating enemies. Now, when I first read that description, I thought of the traditional MMO tank role. You know, the guy up front, kind of melee brawler, taking a lot of damage, doing a lot of damage, soaking up, and healing from keeping himself alive while his teammates did damage in the background. And I can't know that that's what Epic envisioned when designing this hero, but I just wanted to put it out there for a reference of contrast to what he actually plays like. But let's just move through his perks one by one and we'll figure out the problems as they come. Starting at level 1, we've got Advanced Tactics, which is range weapons damage increased by 10% and health increase by 10%. Easily one of the best level 1 perks in the game, especially compared to some of the other really bad perks. And it also matches his theme, which is basically damage and health. He needs the health to be a tank, right? So moving on to Shockwave, which is standard for this character, no buffs, which would be a great skill and match his theme, knocking enemies away, kind of the CC. Unfortunately, Impact is still broken and canny in upper levels, so it doesn't work great. But if it ever gets fixed, it'd be a great fit for this character. So moving on to level 2, we get Debilitating Shots, which also matches the theme of kind of not doing a lot of damage, but debuffing the enemy and allowing your teammates to do the damage that you would lack as a tank. Things get really interesting at level 5, which is his signature skill, Survivalist, which reads cooldown 2 seconds, killing an enemy with ranged weapon heals a base of 10 health. So we're going to break this down into the 3 parts that it shows, which is the cooldown being one part, range weapons being the second part, and the actual healing amount being the last part. So let's touch on that last part first. In my standard kind of mid-level canny tests, I was healing for about 483 when I got a kill, and my health is around 30,000. So that's about 0.02% of my health every time I get healed. So if we're just looking at the raw heal numbers, it's actually not bad. With this setup, it'll take about 43 kills to go from, say, 0 health to full health. But again, that's just including raw heal amounts. So let's move on to the second part of this skill, which is the condition that it only triggers on ranged weapon kills. So this is one of the biggest downfalls to this skill. It essentially means that grenades and your shockwave and even going commando don't trigger the heal. And obviously that you need to get the last hit. And everyone knows in a team of 4 players and bullets flying everywhere, you're less likely to get that last hit, which makes it even more difficult to trigger. So the difficulty at which to trigger this ability is kind of hard to nail down. So what I ended up doing was I took a random encampment battle with 3 other players and counted how many husks spawn and how many I managed to kill with my assault rifle to actually get this ability to trigger. In this test, I managed to get 6 kills with a ranged weapon out of the 31 husks that spawned. Now, even though I got 6 kills, I actually only got healed from 4 kills, which brings us to our last part of the skill, which is the 2-second cooldown. That is a very powerful gate on exactly how powerful this skill could be. This is what prevents you from, say, using a close range shotgun, killing 4 husks in one shot, and getting this huge heal. Which, as I'm saying, it sounds like it could be cool, but it's an understandable gate to keep this ability in check. But let's apply this cooldown to our earlier knowledge of needing 43 kills to get a full heal. Well, that means it'd take about 83 seconds if you were playing like a god and got every kill perfectly to get a full heal. But since we also learned that out of about 31 kills, we only get 6 that trigger the ability, which means it'll take about 217 kills to get a full heal. So we're looking at about 434 seconds. And for a bit of perspective, we can compare this to the utility skill Adrenaline Rush, which will heal you and everyone around you, and even res in the further levels, in about 3.5 minutes. So about half the time it takes for a full heal using this perk. So continuing on through our perks, we got Assault Damage buff at level 8, which is great. Frag Grenades at tier 2, which again are great. No Time to Bleed, which is a health buff at level 12, which fits his role perfectly. We've got Quick Clip at 15, which is really powerful. Again, another health bonus at 18 and Clean Living. We've got Going Commando at tier 3, which has the flaw of not being able to trigger your Survivalist perk. And at 25, we have Waste Not, Want Not, which is an increased ammo capacity, which is also like a great generic perk, but not really tying into the theme of him being a tank. And that leaves level 30, his last perk, his unique perk, Flak Vest, which reads, reduces damage taken by 90%, reduction drops by 30% each time the soldier is hit, and is disabled for 60 seconds after the third hit. Slightly confusing wording there, but basically you can boil it down to every 60 seconds the next 3 hits you take are reduced. The problem really lies is that you can't reliably block the damage that you want to. You're going to be taking damage from blasters and bees and flingers and random sources, mini husks. So there's no way to kind of abuse this skill in any meaningful way. It essentially just means randomly every 60 seconds the next 3 attacks will have roughly 30% damage mitigated. And this is supposed to be, the level 30 perk, the most powerful perk this hero can get. 60 seconds is just way too long of a cooldown, and the skill is way too unreliable. So I've spent most of this video essentially shitting on most of his perks, right? Most of his healing and his flak vest are underpowered, so why in the beginning of the video did I say this hero is actually pretty good and playable? Well, that comes down to he's a soldier, and he's a soldier that has weapon perks. And essentially the way the meta goes in Fortnite right now is weapons are king, and most skills are just too underwhelming. So even if your character has 2 pretty shitty perks that don't really do what they're supposed to do, if you have other perks that buff your weapons, it kind of evens it out. But ultimately, the hero is still soulless. His core abilities that make him unique and special are so weak that they're really not relevant. So to not leave this on a bummer, let's talk about what needs to happen to fix this guy. Well, I think the biggest and kind of easiest way to fix his problems is to simply remove the need to get assault rifle kills for his heal to go off. If it worked on grenades and airstrikes and basically any source of damage, I think immediately his value would go up, and it wouldn't be necessarily too strong because he's still limited by that 2-second amount and the healing not doing much in the first place. In terms of fixing Flak Jacket, I don't know that there's a great fix for it. You could try reducing the cooldown from 60 seconds to, 3 seconds, and that would make it effective, but I don't think it fits the theme of what the skill was supposed to be. I think it was supposed to be a temporary buff in armor that you have some control over, and I don't know what that could be other than some kind of activatable skill, or changing the skill altogether. Perhaps making him a bit more unique, standing out from the rest of the soldiers by, say, increasing his resistance by 80% but decreasing his damage by 20%. This is a theme that I think would benefit Fortnite in general, just exaggerating the differences between the different heroes and making them feel more unique and stand out from the others. But that's it for Survivalist Jonesy. I think he's pretty close to being a cool character and just needs a few tweaks to really push him over the edge and to fill that role that I wanted in this game. And if anyone has better ideas than I did, let me know, and let me know if there's any more skills that you think are broken or need to be exposed or tested or whatever. And I've got a few more in the pipeline, but it'll all be out pretty soon.